Don't you know someone like this? Women who, in front of men they like or aim to impress, raise their voice tone and easily say things that are not their true feelings. She's what you might call a wolf in sheep's clothing. While this may be a form of flattery, it's a different story if they completely change their behavior depending on the situation or the person they're dealing with. Two-faced people always end up causing harm to someone behind the scenes. The story I'm about to tell is about an experience I had as a victim. My name is Emily. 7 years ago, I was discussing marrying my boyfriend of 3 years, Bob, who was the same age as me. And we were planning to have our wedding in the fall. At that time, we found out his older brother Nathan was also planning to get married around the same period. Although it was a happy coincidence to have such events overlap, we thought it might be best to avoid the same time frame considering the financial burden on those invited. After discussing, it was decided that Nathan, being the eldest, would have his wedding first. And so, Nancy, 2 years younger than me, became my sister-in-law. Nancy was very kind and treated me like a younger sister. I thought we would get along well after the wedding. However, her attitude changed drastically 6 months after her marriage. It happened on the day Bob and I, who had married later than the elder couple, returned from our domestic honeymoon and visited his parents' house. Grandma, Bob and Emily are back from their honeymoon. When my mother-in-law and called out loudly, the person who emerged from the back room was my 80-year-old grandmother-in-law Sarah, who lives with my in-laws. Bob, Emily, welcome back, she greeted us. I brought back some cookies that you like, Sarah, I said. As I gave the souvenir to Sarah, she smiled happily. Bob, you really found a great wife. You even considered me, an older woman, during your wedding. It was a dignified ceremony with just family. And the meal was traditional American cuisine. It's rare for young people these days, she praised us. We were enjoying a family gathering at my in-laws' house for the first time since our marriage. Ding dong. That's when Nancy arrived. Oh, everyone's here having a good time, she remarked. Nancy, you came at just the right time. Right now, Bob and Emily have just brought back souvenirs from their honeymoon. Would you like to join us for some cookies? And invited. But Nancy declined, saying, "Oh, I'll pass. I just came to drop off the invitation for your birthday party, and I have some errands to run. So I'll be leaving now," and quickly left. I followed her out. Here's a souvenir. Sorry, it's nothing special. As I handed her the paper bag filled with sweets, she peeked inside and said with a laugh, "Well, this looks like something you could buy at any train station shop." I'm sorry. Nancy seemed to have a sharp edge to her words today. I wondered what was going on. I thought maybe I had done something to upset her, but I couldn't think of anything. Maybe she was just in a bad mood. But I was left feeling unsettled. 2 weeks later, when we went to the restaurant Nancy had reserved for Anne's birthday celebration, we found my in-laws, Nathan and Nancy waiting. Huh? I was puzzled by the absence of Sarah. Just as I was about to ask, Nancy interrupted me and asked her father-in-law Tom. Now that everyone's here, Tom, could you please say a few words for the toast? After we finished the course meal and it was time for dessert, Nancy said. And this is a birthday present from Nathan and me, Nancy said, handing over a box. Upon opening it, Anne revealed a bag with the logo of a high-end brand. Oh. Should I really accept such an expensive gift, she wondered. We thought it would be perfect for our stylish mom, Nancy explained. Nancy, who had just given Anne the luxurious bag, had also gifted a watch to Tom for his birthday 3 months earlier. Seeing Anne's joy, Nancy's satisfied gaze turned towards me. Emily, you've prepared something too, haven't you? She asked. Yes, I have. It's a bit embarrassing to follow your extravagant gifts, though. When Anne opened the package I handed her, she exclaimed, "Oh, how wonderful. Did you make this by yourself, Emily?" Yes, I enjoy sewing. I had gifted a handmade apron. Recalling she once saying, "I wonder if there's a more stylish apron out there," I made an apron tailored to her tastes. Thank you. This is exactly what I wanted. More than anything, the fact that you made it by hand means so much to me, said Anne, delighted. Hearing this, Nancy, who had been listening, smiled and said, "Emily, you're so talented with your hands, I'm envious. Teach me sometime, okay?" Relieved that my handmade gift wasn't a bother, I excused myself to the restroom. While washing my hands, I felt a gaze and looked up to see Nancy glaring at me in the mirror. "There's no need to be so surprised," she said. "Sorry, I didn't realize you were there. Tell me, Emily, about that birthday gift? Did you really think Anne would be pleased with something like that? A handmade apron is so old-fashioned and childish." "It's just too dowdy," Nancy sneered with a mocking laugh. "Ah, I can't stand it. Being around you makes me feel like the poverty is rubbing off on me," she complained. Saying this, she pinched her nose and made a gesture as if waving away a bad smell before leaving the restroom. From that point on, Nancy's behavior towards me changed. She was pleasant in front of the family, but hostile when we were alone. Discussing it with Bob yielded little help. He simply advised me to ignore her. Despite this, I continued visiting my in-laws, especially to see Sarah, who always looked forward to my visits. Recently, I hadn't run into Nancy much, which was a relief. Then one day, Nancy messaged me, saying I had something to report. On the agreed day, at the in-laws' house, Nancy was cheerfully chatting with my in-laws alone. Nancy is having a baby, a boy, and shared happily. It seemed they already knew about Nancy's pregnancy, but she wanted to inform Bob and me now that she was in her safe period. While my in-laws were overjoyed, I felt mixed emotions and excused myself to make tea in the kitchen. Overhearing their conversation, I caught Nancy saying, "Actually, I have a favor to ask." "What is it?" "Don't hesitate," Tom encouraged. "Nathan and I were discussing, and once our child is born, we were wondering if we could move in here. We also propose a remodel as it might become a bit cramped with the new addition to the family. Of course, we'll cover the costs," she suggested humbly. Sensing an ulterior motive, I felt uneasy. Tom, unaware of her intentions, replied, "We appreciate your thought, but it might make things awkward. You should build your own house. We'd gladly help with the finances." "Yes, indeed." Hearing this, Nancy responded, "Really? Are you sure? That's a pity. I was actually looking forward to living together." This probably went exactly as Nancy had planned. She came over to where I was in the kitchen and said with a smug look, "You heard, didn't you? The conversation just now. Tom's going to fund my new house." She then casually mentioned that she never intended to live with the in-laws from the start. Now, my future is secure. A husband with a prestigious job, a new house, a son on the way, and the in-laws on my side. "It's unfortunate for you, aligning yourself with that older woman," she taunted. "What?" I asked, puzzled. "I mean Sarah. Being friendly with her won't get you anywhere." Unable to contain myself, I raised my voice, "Nancy. That's not a nice thing to say." "Shh. Don't be so loud, everyone will hear," she cautioned. Then Nancy whispered in my ear, "God must be watching over me. He made sure that I would have a child first." Huh? I didn't immediately grasp the meaning of her words, but then something clicked. But why did Nancy know about that? It was supposed to be a secret known only to Bob and Sarah. Suddenly, Sarah appeared. "What are you two talking about?" "Oh, nothing at all," Nancy quickly replied with a fake smile and hurried back to the living room. Sarah said, "Emily, would you like to have some tea in my room?" Once inside, she double-checked that no one else was around and asked, "Emily, did Nancy say something mean to you?" Sarah. She revealed that she had started to suspect Nancy's true nature. When I mentioned that Nancy knew about my miscarriage, she said, "She must have eavesdropped on our conversation in this room." I had only told Bob and Sarah about my pregnancy, intending to keep it hidden until the safe period, fearing what Nancy might do if she found out. Unfortunately, I miscarried. Nancy had deliberately called me to the in-laws' house to announce her pregnancy. It seemed like she was mocking me. Unforgivable. Not wanting to worry my elderly grandmother-in-law Sarah, I had refrained from telling her about Nancy's behavior. But now I confessed everything to her. Sarah held my hand and reassured me, "It's okay, Emily. Leave the rest to this older lady," with a smile. Months later, Nancy approached her due date and gave birth to a baby boy at a hospital near her parents' home. I gave Nathan a monetary gift for the occasion, but I also sent a separate congratulatory gift to Nancy's parents' house. Though it should have arrived by then, I hadn't received any response. In front of Sarah and in-laws, I called Nancy. What? Are you calling to demand a thank you? Sending such cheap, handmade baby clothes. How stingy can you be? Nancy immediately started ranting loudly as soon as she answered the call. I switched the call to speaker mode. I threw that stuff away a long time ago, so send something like a stroller instead. After letting her finish, I revealed the truth. Nancy, did you check what was inside? It was from Tom. Eh? Yes, I did sew the baby clothes, but Tom asked me to. The name embroidered on the chest was done by Tom and Anne. Didn't you read the letter I included? Eh? No way, you're joking, right? Nancy's previously bold voice gradually diminished, turning into a murmur. Emily, can you hold on a second, she asked. I overheard a conversation from her end. Mom, where did you put that bag I threw away? What bag? What was in it? Just check the contents properly. Despite Nancy's attempt to muffle the phone, her conversation with her mother was clearly audible. Emily, I'm sorry, there was a misunderstanding. Nancy's voice suddenly softened. It seems my mother mistook it for trash and threw it away. Tom and Anne would be upset if they knew. She continued to make excuses, ultimately asking me to make the same baby clothes again. Emily, I apologize for being hard on you before. But you know, it wasn't out of malice. So please, just this once, think of it as helping me. Despite her previous harsh words, she changed her tone completely, now that things weren't going her way. Understood. Considering Tom and Anne's feelings, I'll fulfill your request just this once. I replied and then ended the call. This should make it clear, right? This is her true nature. Listening in, Sarah turned to my in-laws and said. In fact, before giving birth, Nancy had claimed she was feeling unwell and did not attend Sarah's birthday party. At that time, Sarah had revealed Nancy's true nature to my in-laws and Nathan. Can't believe Nancy would. The skeptical in-laws, having confirmed the content of the phone conversation, were convinced. To their dismay, they learned that the clothes, lovingly made by the family, had been callously discarded in the trash by Nancy. Seizing an unexpected opportunity, I grasped Nancy's vulnerability, turning the tables in my favor. Then, a month later, unaware of everything, Nancy arrived at our in-laws' house with Nathan and their newborn child. It was the first meeting between the grandparents and their new grandson, and we, the couple, greeted them as if nothing was amiss. How adorable. Does he have my mouth? His eyebrows look just like mine. Watching my parents-in-law adoring their grandchild, I felt the warmth of family. Thank you, Tom and Anne, and also Emily, for the cute baby clothes. Look, they fit perfectly. Nancy put the baby clothes I had remade on her baby. She wore a look of triumph. Indeed, they fit perfectly, Anne said. As Anne looked on happily, Nancy smiled at me. At that moment, Anne, closely observing her grandchild, said with a puzzled look, That's strange. What's wrong? Nancy asked. This baby outfit. I thought the embroidery wasn't done so neatly before. Or am I imagining things? Anne wondered, tilting her head. Yes, and it was beautifully sewn from the start, Nancy reassured her. Right, it was. Ahaha. Relieved that Nancy had averted a crisis, she relaxed. Soon after, Sarah cheerfully said, Let me hold my great-grandchild. But Nancy snapped, Don't touch with your dirty hands, pushing away her hand. This reflexive action revealed Nancy's disdain for Sarah. Flustered by her own true nature showing, Nancy quickly tried to apologize. Oh, Sarah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it that way. Despite her desperate attempt at explanation, she was met with icy stares from everyone. Well, it's all right, Sarah said, the only one smiling. Sometimes, trying to maintain a facade only leads to your true colors showing unexpectedly, doesn't it, Nancy? Eh? Nancy was taken aback. Oh dear, I might have said something I shouldn't have, said Sarah with a hint of sarcasm. Even Nancy, usually so confident, was visibly taken aback by this remark. Feeling cornered and at a disadvantage, Nancy quickly suggested, "Sarah, may I host your birthday party again? I couldn't attend the last one because I was unwell." There it is. Her classic maneuver, the flip-flop. Shall I reserve a French restaurant? It should be nice, right? Nancy approached, rubbing her hands together eagerly. No, I prefer homemade meals over eating out. I'd love to try Nancy's cooking, Sarah countered. Are you not good at cooking, Nancy? Yes, I can manage that. Of course, I'll prepare it, said Nancy, who was quick to boast at the time. However, she later called me with a request. Actually, I have a favor to ask. Hoping for help with the cooking. Just like with the baby clothes, she probably thought I would bail her out, but I wasn't going to let that happen. Sorry, Nancy, but I can't help you with that. Sarah has tasted my cooking before, and she'll immediately realize if it's not mine. If you can't cook, why not just be honest about it? Resigned to my unexpected refusal to help, Nancy responded, "Okay," and hung up the phone. Then, a birthday celebration for Sarah, including Nancy, was held again. The table was adorned with luxurious dishes. Did Nancy make all of this? Sarah asked, feigning ignorance. Yes, I hope it suits your taste. Considering it's Nancy, it's likely she did what she had to do. Unable to admit she couldn't cook, she likely just ordered high-end dishes and replated them. Perhaps relieved at saving face, she offered a gift to Sarah, saying, "Sarah, it's not much, but please accept this. Wow, this looks like an expensive dress. But it's too fancy for me to wear. I'm sorry, but could you return it to the store? Didn't you like it? If not, I can find something else for you." Confused by the rejected gift, Nancy turned to hear Sarah say, "Nancy, would you consider living with us here? That would be the best gift. If you do that, we can enjoy Nancy's delicious cooking every day." Live together? I thought you said that wasn't necessary. Right, Tom? Nancy was utterly shaken by the unexpected words from Sarah. It's just something I thought of now. Besides, Nancy was planning to move in too, right? Is there any problem with that? After about 10 seconds of silence, Nancy spoke up. I'm sorry. I actually can't cook at all. But I couldn't refuse Grandma's request, so I ordered a variety of dishes and brought them here. Oh, I see. You should have just been honest with us from the start. Yes, I'm sorry. She apologized for the cooking mishap, seeming eager to avoid any further discussion about moving in, but Sarah pressed on. Don't worry. The idea of moving in was just a joke. What? It was a joke? A look of relief appeared on Nancy's face, but Sarah's attack was unexpected. Listen to the whole story first. I think it's too early to be relieved. I'd like you not to cross the threshold of this house again. If you can't enter the house, there's no way you could move in, right? Do you understand? Then, Nancy's husband, Nathan, who had been silent until now, spoke up. Nancy, you need to apologize to Emily. Throwing away the clothes she made for the kids. What you did was terrible. Both as a person and as a mother. It was the first time I saw usually quiet Nathan get angry. Apologize. But I didn't do anything wrong. Nancy still refused to admit her wrongdoing. Now it was my turn to deliver the final blow. Nancy, everything has been exposed. Shall I show you the evidence? I showed her my phone. Here, our entire conversation is recorded. Would you like to listen? As I was about to press the button on my phone, she shouted, "Stop," and snatched the phone from my hand. Wah. Startled by her voice, the child sleeping in the next room started crying loudly. What? Everyone is ganging up on me. I'm the one who should be crying. Wah. Seriously? Nancy, too, began to cry along with the child. Everyone was taken aback by this. Nancy, enough is enough. Aren't you ashamed of behaving like a child? Just leave, please. Perhaps it should be said that a word from Nathan silenced the room. Unable to respond, Nancy left the house. The tables had turned on the deceptive Nancy, ending with Nathan giving up on her. Afterwards, Nancy, formally divorced by Nathan, jobless and without savings, demanded alimony in exchange for handing over custody to him. However, Nancy's parents, being sensible, fully apologized for their daughter's behavior and offered to pay the alimony, saying, "It's us who should be paying it." Nancy, taken back to her parents' house, frequently sent messages to Nathan, complaining about how tough her sister-in-law at her parents' home was and how unbearable living with her was. Nathan, fed up with her lack of concern for their child, replied with, "You reap what you sow," and blocked her on his phone. Nathan, living with his son at his parents' home, soon remarried. "Please call me Jenny," said the new sister-in-law, who is 1 year older and is such a kind and cheerful person. "My nephew has become completely fond of her too. Thanks to my in-laws' consideration, they now live in an apartment near the family home, as a family of 3. Meanwhile, blessed with 2 daughters, we moved into my in-laws' home in place of Nathan's family. Although my in-laws had said they didn't need to live with us, they now enjoy watching their grandchildren grow up close by. The godmother of my 2 daughters is Sarah. She suggested flower names for them, choosing Cherry and a Lily. Sarah is celebrating her 88th birthday this year. Today, she's sitting on the porch, watching her great-grandchildren play in the sandbox. "Great-grandma, here's some apple pies," my daughters offer, presenting their mud pies. "Thank you. It's delicious," Sarah laughs, deepening her wrinkles even more. Watching this adorable scene from the shadows, I whispered, "Sarah, please live a long life and continue to watch over these children as they grow."